I was never really a fan of Doom 3. Quite the opposite, actually. I've always viewed it as the worst entry in my favorite video game series. The whole idea of Doom as a survival horror game never really sit quite right with me. All of this slow, sluggish movement speeds, zombies that scream "Urgh." All of this prowling around in dark, tight, claustrophobic spaces with flashlight in search of armor, health and ammunition. All of this PDA hunting that sometimes can bring you supplies and sometimes is required to progress. None of this actually screamed Doom to me. If anything, at the time of release, it felt less like Doom and more like some weird crossover between Land of the Dead and System Shock. However, all of my prejudice towards this game completely vanished, just went out the window and disappeared into thin air as soon as I tried to play it in VR. Playing Doom 3 in VR completely turns gameplay around in the best way possible. All of the gameplay mechanics and elements that were sluggish and tedious in the original flat game makes so much more sense in VR just immediately. Looting locations become interesting. Demonic intermissions and jump scares become really scary in stereoscopic 3D instead of just being annoying. And, as you can see right now, you can look around the corners, you can shoot around the corners, you can duck, you can play with your body and 6 degree of freedom controllers, which adds so much needed tactical element to the game. Now, you might wonder, how the fuck am I even playing Doom 3 on my MetaQuest 3 autonomously without PC? You may have visited Meta Horizon store and you may have searched titles like Doom or Quake there and you haven't found anything. Fret not, my friend, I'll explain how all of this works in a jiffy. So, there is this website that is full of indie VR content that you can sideload APKs from, because your MetaQuest runs on Android. And this website hosts a team of developers that are crazy people in the best way possible, and they're called Team Beef, and they make VR ports of all of old and classic PC games, especially shooters and action games. And I will provide all necessary links down below so you can set up Doom 3 for your own MetaQuest autonomous system and play it just like I do. The best thing about these ports that they are completely free, provided you have the game files. You can just download them, just copy over game files into the folder, and you're done. Now let's look a little bit more in depth at what this port actually has to offer. Obviously we have 6 degrees of freedom controls that function well, proper and good. But what's far more surprising than that is that we have full body simulation here. And not just a body simulation. We have body simulation with bending knees and even with correctly positioned elbows, which is kind of fucking nuts if you think about it, because we're talking about a video game engine from 2004 running on autonomous MetaQuest 3. It must have been an insanely hard fit to pull off. And yeah, it can do some crazy stuff when you twist your arms around, like these buggy little things, but the key here is that it's way more functional, immersive, and it gets in the way less than body simulations in supposed AAA titles like Hitman World of Assassination. Just think about it. Body simulation in Doom 3 port from like a team of modders functions better than body simulations in AAA VR games. And it's not only that, you have the option to become just a pair of floating hands while crouching, and it affects manual crouch as well as crouching with a button. And even better than that, you can turn this whole functionality off just with a click of your right stick. You can become immediately a pair of floating hands, which is insanely good functionality for a free port of 22-year-old game. Now, let me show you how PDA functions here. You have several options on how do you want to interact with it. You can do it with gaze, you can do it with aiming a gun at it, but you can explore it for yourself. I'm gonna just show you the coolest one in my opinion. So your offhand becomes a holographic projection of your PDA, and your main hand becomes this finger cursor thingy, and you can interact with it normally as you would with mouse, and it even has haptics feedback, so you know that you touched it. You can do everything here. You can listen to audio files. You can even view freaking video discs.
Welcome to Mars, Marine.
In a very impressive quality, I have to say. Team Beef done exquisite job with it here. Now, can you see it? I'm reflecting in a broken mirror. Let's go maybe... Wow! This is a one badass mirror. And it reflects me fully, without freaking ray tracing or anything. God, sometimes I just wish to go back to 2004. And let me show you the craziest thing about mirrors here. It actually reflects your PDA, and it's completely readable. You can watch freaking video discs in your mirror. Now, how cool is that? My God, id Tech 4 is a beautiful engine. Now tell me, how many modern video game titles, let alone VR titles, can do that? I'll tell you how many. Fucking zero. None. They can't do that at all. Not without ray tracing, they can't. Now, let's talk about the guns a little bit. Doom 3 arguably has the weakest interpretation of the standard Doom gun set. Nevertheless, Team Beef done exquisite job with it. They clearly gave their best to what they had to work with. Now, all of the gun models are clearly originals. There are no chupacabra weapons like in some other ports, thankfully, and all of the guns have very logical and consistent gripping points. It might seem a little bit weird when you look at it from flat screen, but believe me, when you hold these guns in your hands, it feels just quite right. For example, you hold minigun, the chain gun, as an actual chain gun. However, I would be really grateful if I had an option to hold it in the stupid way as an assault rifle, because we're not talking regular chain gun here. We're talking this weird hybrid that has like 60 bullets clip or 60 bullets ammo belt. Now, if the gun has like some kind of foregrip, your hand goes directly at that foregrip. You also hold your rocket launcher from the shoulder as you would hold a real rocket launcher, and you hold a BFG as you would really hold a BFG. There is some occasional weirdness here and there. For example, when you're shooting a plasma gun, the first shot goes way below and the other ones go way above. Now I'm holding it steady. Yeah, you can clearly see it. So when you're aiming with plasma gun, you just have to aim slightly lower than your target is. But overall, guns feel fine. The shooting feels as great as it possibly could be with this weak-ass gun set. The aiming is pretty logical and consistent too. As you can see, you can't exactly aim down sights from this, for example. The only gun that really can do that is the plasma rifle. So there are many guns in this gun set that prevent you from aiming down sights in various ways. So you have a little red laser dot to help you understand where exactly are you aiming. And it's good, it's tight, it's all I have to say about guns. You know, despite this game never making it to a spot on the Mount Olympus of my favorites, there were always certain things that I really liked about Doom 3. Let's start with the technically impressive stuff. This goddamn flashlight was fantastic for its time. And I would say in 2026, it still holds up. Just look at these effects. Look at the dust particle sprite in its rays. Look at this sprite. This was really freaking fantastic for 2004. Look at how it resizes. And the tone and character of the light, just perfect. Chef's kiss. By the way, Team Beef kinda reworked and rebalanced gameplay mechanics associated with Flashlight. The thing is, in the original flat version of the game, you had to switch between the flashlight and your weapons. So you couldn't scout dark areas and shoot at the same time. Later, there were mods that allowed you to just mount it on your gun, which was a huge improvement. And I think they kinda included it in Resurrection of Evil DLC, if I'm not mistaken. However, Team Beef took it truly to the next level, because now you can choose between mounting it on your gun, mounting it on your helmet, or just using offhand. And then they decided that just using your flashlight however you want all the time kind of fucks with certain game mechanics. And they rebalanced it in a very interesting way. Your flashlight is now not permanent. I personally use it in short bursts because it runs out of battery, and then the charge just regenerates. However, there's a caveat to that. I'm not entirely sure how long it lasts because there is no timer. There is no HUD element. There is no any indication about it. So naturally, I'm just using it in short bursts. The second really technically impressive thing about it is the screens, man. The screens. They kind of freaked me out back in 2004 because you watch around, you look at anything else. Well, this texture, not so great. This texture, not quite well. They were primitive. They were well lit, but very primitive. But then you go to a screen and they all were in fucking crazy resolution. And the interaction was pretty similar, just instead of pointing your finger, you moved mouse cursor around and clicked naturally. And you could see like camera feeds, like look at this. Dude, it's like crazy HD. And back then it was kind of a technical jump scare, but in a good sense. Then there are enemy behaviors. Of course, most of them are designed to be disposable, but they don't go down as easy as their counterparts from previous entries of Doom. As you can see, they can leap to the sides, they can kinda roll to dodge your attacks, imps are crawling on ceilings and various other surfaces, which was really impressive for its time. Then there's all the cool demonic shit. Intermissions, ambushes, jump scares. But to be honest, to enjoy it fully, I needed VR version of Doom 3. Because they just don't hit as hard on the flat screen. See what I'm talking about? Imagine experiencing that in stereoscopic 3D. Oh my god. The final boss fight is so ass, it's absolutely irredeemable. If this will be your first playthrough of the Doom 3, please don't expect it to be the high point of the game. It's completely opposite. Even interpreting it for VR didn't do much to make it less ass. The premise is so simple and so stupid, it's borderline unbelievable. You have to just shoot monsters constantly to charge up your soul cube, and then you attack Cyber Demon with your soul cube a couple of times. This fight doesn't pose any real danger or any difficulty. As you can see, I'm dodging rockets left and right fairly easily. If anything, this fight is just tedious and annoying. While editing parts of this video, I've noticed something weird. The hood appears to be shaking violently at times, and also, for some reason, only the mid-upper section of FOV has been recorded properly, so the game feels weirdly zoomed in on the video. Now, I promise you that in-game the hood is stable and the FOV feels completely normal. It's just a weird way in which native MetaQuest recording software interacted with this particular port. So, sorry about that, but it is what it is, and I can't seem to do anything about it. Now, there's another huge bummer that I've noticed while playing. It's that the body cleanup on demonic enemies specifically, as you can see clearly right here, it doesn't have the signature Doom 3 burn-up effect with black smoke and all of that. Now, I don't know, was it a decision made for optimization purposes? Or is it just some kind of bug, but I certainly didn't find any kind of option that would allow me to turn it back on. So I suppose this special effect was cut for some reason, and that's really a huge bummer, because regular enemies clean up their corpses normally with all the bloody special effects that come with it. But demonic enemies, they clean up in a very boring way, and I don't know why that is. Maybe I've installed something wrong, I don't know. Maybe I should go to their Discord server and ask around about it. Oh shit! Now let's go over the main menu and options real quick. Right off the bat, you're presented with this little help tips. As you can see here, basically every quality of life feature that you can switch on the go is listed right here. And also you can switch cinematics from flats to immersive from here as well. Now let's go over the options. The options are pretty plentiful. You can toggle laser sights. You can control shake amplitude. You can switch body mode from just hands to just a floating weapon to a full body simulation. Also, you can hide or show your crouched body. I recommend hiding it because it can get in the way when you're navigating some like vent shafts and whatnot. You can regulate your height offset if you want to feel really tall or really small. Also, flashlight, I've gone over it already, but I forgot to mention that you can mount it on the body, and flashlight is emanating from your chest in this instance. I prefer gun though. You can also control flashlight pitch and weapon pitch. You can switch cinematics from flat to immersive. Flat means that they are demonstrated on screen such as this, and immersive means that you can like wave your head around and see them from different angles. You can also adjust walk speed, but I didn't do that because it kind of fucks with game's balance. You also can switch difficulty on the go, which is very helpful. You can switch language, control EX audio on and off, and you can even mute the footsteps, which I prefer to do because they are too frequent for my taste. And you can even control shotgun choke. Then there are graphics settings, and you can change super sampling value, refresh rate, MSAA, and you can toggle shadows. My favorite variant is flashlight only because it doesn't fuck with the performance as much. But in general, you have the tips here for like every variant of Quest, and you can see the recommended settings for that. Then you can adjust the hood opacity, hood type, which is only full and disabled. You can lock hood to face or to your body. You can change GUI interactions, which include your PDAs and touchscreens. And you can switch PDA position from offhand to fixed, so it can just be in front of you all the time. And you can also adjust hood scale, which is also really helpful. Here you have your basic and pretty standard options for VR controls. You can't remap anything, which is a bummer, but it's completely forgivable in this case. Also, you can fuck around with shaders. You have like presets like OG Doom 3 look, BFG edition look, and PBR enhanced look. I prefer BFG edition look in VR pretty much. And that's about it. I would say this number of options is pretty plentiful, but some of them are missing. At least they are missing for me because I would prefer an access to console or maybe a cheat menu or something like that to fuck around with the game engine a little bit more. I would prefer to have the ability to rebind controls, and I would prefer even more options for graphics and shaders. But that's just me. I would say for a free port, it's pretty plentiful. Now, to summarize everything you have seen so far, would I recommend this port? Yes, absolutely. Because, first of all, it's an infinite value proposition on part of Team Beef, because you're getting a pretty high-end port absolutely for free. You can, of course, follow Team Beef on Patreon and give them money if you want to, if you like their work and if you can afford it, but they don't demand this of you. And I find it very nice. Second of all, porting 22-year-old games to modern portative VR headsets is a really hard feat to pull off. So I admire all of the work that has been done here. Then I have to mention once again that I didn't even liked the flat original Doom 3. So I can recommend this port even to people that don't actually like Doom 3, because in VR it's a very different kind of experience that, in my opinion, is much, much better and makes a lot more sense than on the flat screen. Well, that's about it. I was Walter the Jester, and you know what? Please consider subscribing to my channel, smashing that like button, and leaving the comments down below. shit. It's an air raid alert. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but my point is, I'm competing here against people who live pretty normal lives in normal places. And I, myself, live in a war zone, and I live like a bum. I don't have electricity most of the day. I don't have heating right now. I don't have water. I have water only periodically. I mean running water. And recently I had to melt the snow to flush my own turd. So, liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment down below would be much appreciated for giving me a little bit of tactical advantage. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Jester out.